Hello, everyone. Welcome into this, I guess, episode 3 of Evie's Book Club. I am still alive. I don't sound great. My lungs aren't perfect, shall we say, but this is day 8 of quarantine for me. I'm being bad that the front door's open, but nobody comes and visits anyhow, so it's fine. Um, but if you see me stopping, taking a break, grabbing some of my beverage, a nice orange grapefruit, um, it's just because talking for a prolonged period isn't something I've done for a while. But I want to get back into this because, frankly, I'm reading a lot of books and I don't get to talk about them with this because I'm just sitting around usually on some form of cold medication to make sure I keep things going, and I'm just ripping through books here. But today, I want to look at The Age of Miracles by Karen Thompson Walker. Um, I'm trying to find just the right word for this book. It's like some word between touching and poignant. It's in that realm. And like I did so far with these videos, I'm not going to do spoilers so much as I'm going to talk about the way the book feels and what the ideas of it are. That way, hopefully, you go out and get your own copy. Also, good news down the road, since I'm recording this on April 1st, and it looks like we're going to be indoors for a while. I ordered Dreamers, her follow-up book from last year, so I'll rip through that when it gets here. But the premise of The Age of Miracles is this. Um, the Earth's rotation slows, and not like in a science fiction-y kind of way, but just for the first couple days, almost imperceptibly, like the days are suddenly 25 and then 26 and then 28 hours long. And there's a great deal of concern because no one can quite explain this. But it's all told from the point of view of, at the beginning of the book, an 11-year-old girl. And wrapped around all of these extraordinary experiences is, you'd almost say, the mundane. Those ordinary insecurities that we all have when we're in 6th grade. I always ask this question: has anyone had a good middle school experience that wasn't awkward or somehow had some form of strife in it, that kind of thing? It's a really difficult age. My twins are 11 right now, so I looked at a lot of this book from their perspective. Like, how would they see the world? And then, of course, the other thing slipped into my mind: how are they seeing the world? Because again, I like to be able to provide guidance. I'm in my 40s. I've lived a bit. I've had some defining moments, within my life. Whether you want to talk about the Challenger explosion, the fall of the Berlin Wall, 9/11, obviously. This isn't like anything that I can prepare them for. I've never been in a situation, and I don't know that this country has ever been in a situation where it's been a matter of, well, we don't know when you'll go to school again. We don't know when you can go to a birthday party again. We don't know when we're going to have our friends over or go somewhere. We don't know when that ends. And I can't recall that being a part of not just the American experience, but the human experience in my life. So a lot of the questions that the book raises go over into that direction. So what happens over time is the days spread out longer and longer. And what they decide officially is that they have to go an established clock time, maintain a 24-hour day, even though some days will be completely at night, because that's going to be the only way that they can maintain order. But there are others who decide to just go with the day and the night and what that experience is like. They call themselves circadians. Some of them do. And so by the time it gets to be, each day is 40 hours long, it's like trying to imagine, well, could you do 20 plus days of daylight? Could you sleep for 18 hours? Is the human body capable of that? Are we that in tune with nature? But of course, at the same time, if we're looking at a catastrophe like what the Earth mysteriously slowing its rotation would be like, Um, how would nature react? Because we're seeing that right now with the COVID pandemic. Um, we're seeing animals reclaim spaces because the humans are all tucked away, because this is a danger to us. Because, again, I'm recording this in early April, and so I don't know how this video will be seen, you know, a year from now, a month from now, a week from now. I don't know because none of us knows what's coming. But as it is right now, animals are retaking those spaces because this is a disease that impacts us and is very likely to kill some of us. We're looking at estimates in the US of anywhere from 100 to 240,000 of us. That's what, 4 to 8 times the size of the community here, Elko, Spring Creek combined, that I live in, dead. We look at September 11th, and the immediate impact was there were 3,000 people dead, and then all the people who died from um, various afflictions, or you could also add combat deaths to that, with the subsequent conflicts that resulted. This is something we can't see. This is something where I'm sitting here right now, I'm sick, still. This is day, I believe, 12 of symptoms for me, and this is day 8 of my quarantine. I don't know if I have this thing or not. I don't. I hope I do, honestly, because, my lungs are kind of crap, even though I've been an endurance athlete for most of my life. My lungs are fairly garbage. But they're winning right now. I feel like I'm winning this, even though it's a little soupy. So I'm hoping that I did have it, because then I have the antibodies. Then I'll maybe have a little bit less to fear, and I can more confidently be helping all the people around me. That I can venture out if people are stuck in their homes and get them whatever they need. That I can provide comfort because they won't get me sick. I'm hoping for that, genuinely. Because this is stretching what it means to be human. It is. That's what this gets into as well. Because what is it to be human when, and again, I don't want to give away the plot. It's well worth the read. You will rip through this book in a day or two, I swear. But what happens when the sun becomes so intense because it's out for so long that you can't go outside during the day? Or what do you do about food when suddenly the crops aren't working anymore? What do you do about your 12th birthday party? What do you do when the person that you've fallen in love with is somewhere where you can't get to them? What do you do? Those are the sorts of questions that go into this, and those are the sorts of questions that I'm trying to remember as we endure this. Because, yes, I can grab my tiny, tiny, tiny little phone over here. Genuinely, it's tiny. And I can open up my BBC News app, and I can get the latest news on everything that's going on with this. And it will give me statistics and infection rates and dangers and policies and government responses. I'll have all of that. But I don't have all those other pieces of what we're missing, of the fact that GVC's commencement has been canceled, of the fact that I haven't seen my office mates in weeks, that, I had 4 live classes that I was teaching, and I had to move those online. And for my students, there's a lot about that I really don't like. They signed up for a live class. But here we are. So, this is actually the 10th day that I haven't left my home. Okay, don't tell anyone, all right? I was bad today. I went to the mailbox. Had to mail a bill, a couple letters. Write letters, people. Postal Service is still working. Imagine getting a letter in the mail. Write letters. This is stretching what it means for us to be a social species. I've said already, I think in a previous one of these, I consider myself somewhat of an introvert. Teaching is sometimes hard for me because in some ways it's performance. And there's very few select people that I can be around and actually feel energized rather than drained. Maybe you know the feeling, but I'm not used to this. I'm not used to the fact that I can't go to the grocery store, that I can't just go take a walk. I literally can't right now. I know most people can, thankfully. Social distancing means you can still get out and get exercise. I'm on quarantine. Um, we're all going to change because of this. That's what this was. Now, I was reading this book originally. I'll get a little personal here. I was reading it at the same time as my ex-girlfriend was reading it. We were working through it together, and she got ahead of me on it. She just told me not to bother, just to stop reading it because of where it went. And she never elaborated on that. Don't stop. This book don't expect a magical ending. Don't expect everything to just, when we woke up and it was all a. It's like this whole thing. It's like this pandemic. I keep hoping one day I'm going to wake up and it's, nope, that wasn't a thing, actually, we're okay. Or I'll get lost in something else. Watched the documentary on the Voyager missions the other night and was able to just sort of lose myself in this mission of exploration that, it's covered how many millions of miles, an obscene number of millions of miles. How many AU is a better way to measure it. And they've been doing this for basically my entire life. They launched shortly before I was born, and they're still going. I forgot that I couldn't leave my house. I forgot that I'm sort of metering the food in my pantry to make sure we're okay, because I can't go anywhere for another week, and people have very kindly offered, I know. But this is one of those things that I feel like I should be able to do, especially in a time like this. I don't want to endanger anyone else. It's not going to go back to normal. This is going to change us permanently. Think about all the things that you will no longer take for granted because of this. Whether it's just a full aisle of toilet paper or the ability to go down to the park because one of your friends has rented out the pavilion and you're having a party down there. We're going to change because of this. Towards the end of the book, our narrator, Julia, is older. Not a ton older, but older. And reflects back on a lot of the events that happen in here. And as much as it talks about emergency measures, it also, a lot of the book centers around a boy, Seth, that she falls in love with. Don't let that slip away from being a part of this story, the way it was central in this. That's, for me, that was the biggest lesson of Walker's piece here, of The Age of Miracles. Don't let the human portion of it change. Don't let a connection that you made as this was all starting, not become the story. It is. There's going to be almost 8 billion versions of the COVID-19 story when all's said and done. They won't all be in history books, but they do all matter. And for me, that was the lasting lesson from this book. So, highly recommend it. It's one that I picked up. I've become a little bit of a nerd in this front, in that I really like getting hardcovers. As I said the other day, that hardcovers are, they're more like an heirloom than just a book. it's something a little bit more permanent. And so there are hardcover copies out there. Again, I tend to order my books from Powell's up in Portland, former home. Also recommend the Writer's Block down in Vegas. I don't know what the status is with Writer's Block with doing pickup orders or shipping. I do know Powell's is shipping. They're a little slow right now, but well worth it. One that you'll keep. Next time, we're going to go a little bit more lighthearted with this whole thing. We got Tell the Machine Goodnight by Katie Williams. We're doing that one before The Mandibles, because this is actually kind of a thick read, but we will do Lionel Shriver's The Mandibles, and also Susan Choi's Trust Exercise is one that I just started, National Book Award winner. But Tell the Machine Goodnight is kind of raucous, a really fun book. So we'll have some fun with that. I'll probably record that one here a few days from now. By then I'll have all my air back from this. But more than anything, first of all, thanks for watching. Second of all, stay safe. There's a friend of mine that I'm doing my best to support through this. Someone who's not really working. And yeah, I'm fortunate that I am. So it isn't even a question of would you help someone like that, but it doesn't have to mean, you know, it means checking in on each other. And as I've been sick, a number of my friends and colleagues have checked in on me, and that's really meant a lot. Keep your connections, stay safe, take care of each other, and just remember this more than anything going forward. There's going to be plenty of time for us all to get a little cavalier in the future. So don't be impatient. Take care, folks. See you next time.